In our highly charged times, many libraries nationwide are facing pressure about how they run and what's on their shelves. That includes the Library of Congress, whose longtime leader, Dr. Carla Hayden, was fired by President Trump last month. She speaks with our Robert Costa.
It begins on Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Carla, comma.
And that's what was so confusing, because as many of us have experienced, we get fake emails or people are calling you and different things like that. Since I appeared before you last summer, the library has advanced key initiatives of importance to
Last month, Carla Hayden was nearing the end of her 10-year term as Librarian of Congress. Appointed by President Barack Obama, Hayden was the 14th Librarian of Congress since 1802. She was a history maker.
So help me God.
The first woman and first black person to hold the job.
Thank you.
Then, on May 8th, Hayden received an email. On behalf of President Donald J. Trump, her position was terminated, effective immediately.
I was never notified beforehand and after.
No one's reached out to you from the White House?
No one has talked to me directly at all from the White House.
No one's given you a phone call from the administration?
No. I've received no communication directly, except for that one email, Carla.
That's it.
That's the only communication.
It ends with one missive. That's electronic. That's it.
That was it.
There have never been any issues between you and President Trump. There's never been a feud.
No, or any other administration.
This wasn't personal in any way.
No. I don't think it was personal.
Do you think it was about power?
I don't know what it was about, frankly.
Hayden's firing is seen by many as part of a broader story. President Trump has been pushing out leaders at cultural institutions and is targeting public media and universities for spending cuts.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about...
At Washington, D.C.'s Martin Luther King Jr. Library,
Fight for libraries.
Hayden's supporters gathered last weekend for a town hall meeting.
The firing of our distinguished, esteemed Librarian of Congress, Dr. Carla Hayden, make it clear to us that the freedom to read, the freedom to learn, the freedom to express ourselves is under attack. We are simply going to be bold.
There are librarians, academics, activists, many people in America who are often seen as the quiet types. They're being loud.
They're being loud, I think, and it's so humbling to have that outpouring of support. But what is really, I think, part of this feeling is that it's part of a larger seeming effort to diminish opportunities for the general public to have free access to information and inspiration. We like to say as librarians, free people read freely. And so there's been an effort recently to quench that.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has addressed Hayden's dismissal.
We felt she did not fit the needs of the American people. There were quite concerning things that she had done at the Library of Congress in the pursuit of DEI and putting inappropriate books in the library for children.
Did you feel the White House was smearing you in some way by saying you're putting inappropriate books out there for children?
When I heard those comments, I was concerned that there might not have been as much of an awareness of what the Library of Congress does.
The library's primary function is to fulfill research requests from members of Congress. It is not a lending library for the general public.
The White House press secretary using the term DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. When you hear that, as one of the most prominent black women in the United States, what do you hear?
It's been puzzling in many ways to think about being inclusive as a negative.
What's that all about?
I don't know, because when you think about diversity, you can put it to its lowest level, it's wonderful to have options when you go and get ice cream. You know, you can, this one likes strawberry, this one likes pistachio and that, you know, and I would stay with the chocolate, I must say.
While Hayden, who's 72, is no longer at the Library of Congress, this library has the feel of home. We met her at Baltimore's Enoch Pratt Free Library, which she led for over 2 decades.
You're still Dr. Hayden of Pratt Library. That never leaves.
Well, they call me Doc. That living room.
Hayden's lifetime of reading was sparked by this library book, Bright April, the story of a black girl and her family.
It was like, oh my gosh, this is me.
You saw yourself in the book.
You see yourself, and that's why it's so important for young people to see themselves or to read about experiences that they're having, because it validates you. Because you're seeing it in a book. Somebody took the time, somebody cared enough. That's what librarians are fighting for. That people will be able to say, here's a book about our family. We have a family that other people might think's a little different, or here's a book that talks about someone that's just like you. And because it's in a book, it's been published, it means that it's real and it's important.
For Carla Hayden, libraries do more than convene people in buildings. They convene Americans around our founding values. And she points to freedom to read, the 1953 statement by the American Library Association, as a guiding light.
The freedom to read is essential to democracy. That's
Yes.
what the ALA statement says. And it adds, it's continuously under attack. Is it under attack today?
Democracy is under attack. Democracies are not to be taken for granted. And the institutions that support democracy should not be taken for granted. And so that's what the concern is about libraries and museums. It's part of a fabric. Think of it as an infrastructure that holds up. The libraries have been called one of the pillars of democracy. That you have these institutions in every community that allow anyone to come in and access knowledge.